in court, uzumameleli bazigrant, so then so court thing I get 13 July in court, and I'm defending the matter. This part of the two girls is claiming 400,000 rand for the fact that the police arrested him, they arrested him unlawfully, and they put him in detention because he was accused by the police. Alfred, you're putting me on this thing?
Yes.
Oh, no, I was always free now.
No, you can still be free. You can still be free.
No, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So the police are accusing him that his daughters, this is my brother, accused him of raping them. And the story says, and I've got all those statements, the girls in 2013, one was 8 years old, the other was about 13 years old. He came in, they stayed with their mother. These girls, they stayed with their mother. He was staying out there with another woman. So that tells you, after these children were there, both Sugar, he then had a child with that other woman there, a third child, okay? But it was a child with that lady. And I read the statements saying, when the mother is at work, and at 2 o'clock the school comes out, this week, as the little one, who's 8 years, came home, she says that he followed her in the bedroom where she was undressing, and they went in her and closed her mouth there, blocking her from any screaming she could do. The following week, the big girl came back almost the same time as well, but because this one is a little big, he said to her, please, Madam, go there and change the uniform. And as the child was busy changing the uniform, he went in that same bedroom, did the same thing. But she started screaming. Oh. And at the scream of the child, he blocked her with paper in the mouth, but the screaming had already gone to the neighbors. Okay. So one of the ladies next door came and saw this thing happening here on the rear end of the house. It's an RDP property. And this man moved off from the girl. But they're already gone in, you know. The children report this thing to their mother a year later. And he had warned them, if you report this, I will punish you. So the mother did not believe the children. Right? Why do you report this thing a year later to me? And also when the children came to the doctor a year later, with the big girl, nothing was showing as tearing, but with a small girl, something showed that there was a tearing that happened. There's a scar. You understand what I'm saying? It was a scar. The doctor could identify that this is a scar and it could not have happened in jail voluntarily. So the doctor reports that. Then a year later, in 2015, the mother dies. Even the lady who had seen, and her statement was there, also died. And the evidence shows then that the only available evidence to hold this man criminally liable is the evidence of these children. And he appeared in court after getting bail several days, and I think a year later, the charges were withdrawn for lack of evidence. That's what happened. So this man was then advised by his attorneys. He said, charge the state, charge both the police and the National Prosecuting Authority for malicious prosecution and for this unlawful arrest. I went in court in Campton Park, and I managed, first of all, to defend the NPA. And the magistrate gave me what I call absolution from the instance. What I don't mind, what I have no evidence when I'm not on the state who prosecute. Even if they withdrew, but these ones, we don't even stand a leg to can win the case as it goes forward. So they were absolved. I'm defending the SAPS at this moment on the 13th. Now, I was in court that day when I was cross-examining him, just like my colleague Zandile Msholo. Zandile Msholo is an Adventist. Do you know her? Yes. Yeah. Those of you who don't know her, she's an Adventist classes one. And we have to do further cross-examination of witness, even if it means it takes 5 days. Do it. So that it's always the surveillance based stuff. Also, criminal court, about back out of criminal court. So, even in a civil matter, they lie. They just go about lying and they will say whatever they wish to say. He says to us, just look, he says to this court, on the day when these children say, I did this to them, that week and the following week, I was not around. I was in Mpumalanga. And on top of the fact that I was in Mpumalanga, I stayed in Mpumalanga for about 6 months. And I asked him then, in your statement, you say you were a teacher, even in examination by your own lawyer. You say, you were working at school and you were a guard, the security guard. You remember? Yes. So please tell us, at what stage were you in Mpumalanga and at what stage were you always a security guard? They got confused and he dates Zaka. So you caught that, you see, you're not telling the right story. I'm going to the children now. Fast forward. This little one is grown now. It's grown. She's, I think, but from 2013 now, you add, what, 9 years? You add 9 years or so. So she's about 17 years old. As I look at her and the reports of the teachers, the social workers, and Teddy Bear social organization and whatever they do, but they see from the version of the child that something would have gone wrong. Because first of all, the teachers at school produced a report that So they produced that technical report that says there's something wrong with the child. And that was good. And even the teachers, I mean, the social workers, therefore, at Teddy Bear, they give us that particular report that it is definitely possible that it comes from something that happened prior to this time. So, whereas the results were good at that stage when she was 8 years old, at a later stage, the results were bad. And Umdana has carried on with this damage through life up to that stage when it happened at school. When you're in that court, you must not become emotional, being mean. You don't do that. In cases of abandonment, they are very emotional, emotive. I've been in court here, in the children's court. When you get in that court, you must remove yourself so that you are able to examine the facts properly. Otherwise, you can fall in the trap of thinking that you are dealing with your own matter when it's not your matter. But you will fail to extract information slowly from a witness. You will not be able to make it. It reminds me now of a case I handled about twin girls that were 7 years old in 2013. Their parents had divorced, and so the children were left with the mother. This man has started to move on with his life. But now he was no longer coming to visit the children at 7 years. So the lady says, I'm going to punish him. I'm going to go to the maintenance court and I'm going to claim 6,000 for one child. So 6,000 here, 6,000 here. For my twins. Kids. Now, the attorney that was working with me comes to us in chambers and says to us, I am asking you to come in this case because I have become emotionally involved in the case. So we read the papers. After reading the papers, we understood why she got emotionally involved. And this is it. Abantwana, they need their father. They don't just need their mother. And the Bayamans, they are already 7 years old. They know him. They need both of them. And he does not show up. Now, when we arrive at the Randburg Magistrates Court, I tried to find out, why are you wanting so much money, Mama Man? No, I want to punish this man. But oh, now I understand. Then I had to change my approach. And that's what you do sometimes as counsel. You must change your approach because the circumstances call for it. And it depends what type of case it is. So I changed the approach and say, if he can change the approach, say, once a week or even once every second week, only for just about 2 hours, then it's gone. And there were twin girls, they could not really have any relationship with him. She said, I would consider that. They said, okay, look, can you come to me at the office? Both of you, I can assist and see how far we can go. They came at a later date, it was the following week. And when they arrived, the lady says, but the advocate, when you are his lawyer, I don't trust you. I said, yeah, but I would like you to please trust me so that I can understand, I can be able to assist you without putting up a fight. No, I refuse. Then that meeting stopped. We went back to court. I knew there is a high likelihood that whoever is the magistrate sitting there is going to punish this man. Because hey, yabona amadoda angabasapoti abantwana babo. Court punish most of the time. So if never to uya ecourt noko une case evakalayo. This man says to me, no, counsel, I do have a case. Take my salary slip. You see, I work for the National Union of Mine Workers. I don't earn much. Now the lady on the other side, she says, no, but he has got a company as well. So the case took us about 6 months. We had to investigate the financial ability of this man to pay. And eventually we came to a realization that no, really he can't pay. And sometime later, I had to speak to him. I said, Mamed, would we are punished? Did you get a number? So how is it when if we can agree just to that, she will not even ask for it. Counsel, yeah, man, hey, counsel, you know, every weekend. But I'm kind of just like this. Every weekend, counsel, we go out to the NUM, and you know, I'm an accountant. You know, my comrades need me. I had of the children. And eventually said, but I think I understand you, counsel. I will see my children once every week or once every second week. I don't mind, but then I can alternate, and you must take them from Friday and then bring them back on Sunday evening. That will save you. Do you understand what? Okay, counsel, will do. Do you know what Tatilo over a kind of go like a Sunday, at least Amanda backbone book on a bus and a pub way. Then it will be fine, man. But okay, no, I understand. So when we headed back to court, I'm also going to say introduction book. Okay. When we headed back to court, normally you will meet there outside to try and resolve the matters before you go to court. So I go to UCC. The UCC, my man, this man has agreed to see the children. Yeah, he has agreed to see the children. No, he has agreed. It's going to be by part. Not your talk. So I put it down in writing, all of it. Put it down in writing, and I finish. And then I give in court, there's what you call a maintenance officer. So I give it to a maintenance officer, Mr. Banban. The man is agreeing to these terms. He would like to see the children all the time, once a week, or once every second week, whichever is suitable. And he is going to buy all the clothing for the extramurals, for the winter, twice a year. Hey, is that so? That is. And then he is going to give only 2,000 rands per child, no longer 6,000 rands. Unfortunately, so that I must hear the court, and the magistrate, when we meet and we give her all these facts, the magistrate turned around and said, Mrs. Banban, what more do you want from this man? I did not have to speak a lot. What more do you want from this man? He's going to come and see the children. He is proposing to give them 2,000 rand each to your account. He's going to buy clothing. He's going to do this. And so what more do you want from him? Do you want me to make a decision, or would you like to go and talk again? That's how they do it in court. Team maintenance officer. That Mr. Bamba, what you know, I think this offer is good. Wow, that also do agree what I can science agreement must say self. Let me tell you, I'm telling you these stories. And I wanted the children to be here. We have less children. 3 weeks ago, I was in Whitbank on this subject, and I told them that in my church, I'm going to make it bigger. How we grow our children is important. What we teach them when they're young, or even in the tummy, is important. You see, when children are already 7 years, 8 years old, how old are you? How old are you? Huh? 15, how old are you? Yeah, when you want to teach them at this age, you have lost the battle before you started. And I'm going to explain why. And you will help me on this point I'm going to make now. We have children who grow up in a family unit where there is husband and wife. Then we have children who grow in a family unit where there is only the mother. The father is out there. We then have children who grow in a family unit where there's no mother and there's no father, it's only grandmother. Then you have children who will grow in a family setup where, I don't know, where what? Where the child is converted to become an adult. Yeah. Nowadays, yes. Yes, child-headed households. Yeah. The child is growing in a child-headed household. That's the head of the Lord's responsibility. No, instantly. I know son is not a position. And therefore, they think, you know how men are like. Men think that she is now a capable woman when she's not. Whereas that child, if that child is not even well trained in a Christian home, is no worse position than alone. But also where no education has been quickly imparted to that child in a space that enables the child to grow and grasp things of this type very quickly. Don't allow is the worst position. Then you have children who then later on, even in a setup where you are married and you get divorced. Those children also, they do have their own dynamics. And those dynamics, they vary, if anything, between one child to the next. And they encounter issues of their own. I was approached I've been handling lots of these matters now. I'll give you a few cases. So we have to talk about child socialization. We have to talk about child socialization because nowadays life has become rough. By the way, children grow up in a Christian home where you have to go to sleep and you pray first. When you wake up, you've got to pray first before you do anything. Are different to all other children. Very different. Children who don't grow in those families are different to those who grow in them. And there are reasons why that's so. Very much. But let me give you this introduction. I have put in here that in a home, you will have starting a soccer team. In a soccer team, you will have 11 players plus substitutes, 6 of them on the bench. For players, those players, they have what we call a coach, and they have what we call an assistant coach. Before they run into the soccer field, they must gym and acquire skills at the gym. Because they cannot execute the task in the soccer field without acquiring the skills at the gym. Nowadays, at Romeo Sundowns, you've got 3 coaches, 3. And 3 by 3. There's this, there's that, and they're all 3 capable coaches, not 1. 3. In other teams, you've got 1 coach and an assistant or 2 assistants. The reason for it is to try and build the confidence of the players, but also to make football. But if any party, benching, or the federal but they're busy writing. Did he execute according to the instructions at the coaching? I mean, at the gym. You know, it's a similar situation. If you are alone, you have a huge task as a coach. Is 3 times what would have been. So when you are there, you are imparting all these skills to them all. And my only verse to you is that verse in Proverbs 22, verse 6. Train up a child. Remember that? Train up a child. That verse says, train up a child. Now, in the Message version, it says, point your kids in the right direction. When they are old, they won't be lost. That's the Message version. And the New King James version says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. So I think it's about all the time here. And that's what okay, what you do? You know, if you have trained them, you know you've done your job. And you've done your job, and that job is done. You know what I'm talking about. I called my 2 girls. One of us came to me. Listen to me, friend. Please, my girls, don't disappoint me, because there will be trouble if you disappoint me. Life is not the same, but I say so to them. I won't see you know that. Then I say to them, look, you are girls, but just like your father, like a man. When a man sees you fresh as you are, spring chicken children like you are, they want to go for you and they will have sex with you. Now, do you understand? Yes, Dad. I want to talk to you like a man. Like a man would sometimes don't do it, but I want to be unconventional with you. If you can, please try hold yourself. I'll be grateful. Study and finish, and you can, if possible, start work, and if you can, then thereafter you can be able to face life the way you can face life. And the community ministry, my daughter would go in class, and there in the front, they would come here to the table, and the three girls first they would jump on the table and jive on the table. And let's lose. You don't lose. That would be very chaotic. And the next thing, that whole stage passed. Detention. No detention. Detention. Some police, I can't go. Then came the year when she was doing matric. And she passes. When the matric year came, that's another job. Don't do the things you're doing last year. And I asked you to apply to university to about 8 institutions in this country. Just 8, minimum 8. But no, I hear you guys. She passed on the spot and she went to university, she finished. The women discipline there is a right to go, oh, okay, you just needed to yes. I don't know if they're but you've got to beg the child, lead the child. But as you do so, point all the news in this life so that you do the same. You are able to tell them, if you don't do this, that's the consequence. If you do this, that's the consequence. You make a choice. Now, I remember, by the way, I am from there myself, because my father did the same to me. I was once a child, now I must actually try to put them up. And if you go to YouTube now, put in the result, you see, you're able to see my daughter. She is just doing all the things that she does. And it's amazing to South Africa lesson here on just what's up. And she is training people that she's trained. I want to pay what I call IX Amsterdam, the Cape Town, the BCRO. Yes, I think it's a Cape Town after they go to where she works. She's only 26 years old. And they run to that place. If you those of us who were here at church when we started the gym, she was helping us to gym here. And she left us with some exercises that we could do. Of course, we're not doing that at the moment. We need to train children. And I'm going to just do it and then we can discuss that part. What does it involve? One, with children, in Matthew 19, there's a verse that says, let the little children come to me and do not forbid them, for all such the kingdom of heaven. You remember those words of Jesus. If children are not introduced to God, what else are they going to know? And that's why this church makes sure that we make that service of the dedication of children an important service. Bring the children up, let them know this is family. This is family. Other than that family at home, here is another family. And they can go here running around. Come on, that's how they run around in church. And please behave. When those children are here, you must keep them here. They must be here. If they're not in the eyes of the Lord, we are in trouble as a church. Or not as a church only, but there's a community out there. Look at the children in the community. Just about this part that they have not been introduced to the Lord God Almighty. Many of them. That's the one part I'm looking at. Introduce them to the Lord. At home, that's why says the mother and the father are the pillars of child training. And in this book, Child Guidance, and that other book that says The Adventist Hope, actually, in this one, I've discovered something else with Ellen White here. She says, mothers carry even an extra responsibility. Never. If you're drinking, if your husband is drinking and you also drink and you're pregnant, what is going to happen when the child is born? And so the mothers carry an extra responsibility. And those of us who have grown in those families with mother and father, we know what happens there. You know exactly what happens there. Your father goes away, mom shaking. In fact, even a crash at the nursery, as somebody put it sharp in his room down. And that's nobody can ever want. Is there a teacher in the nursery who is a man? I've not seen one. Even after here, when we had a crash here, the only teachers we had were all of the mothers or women. That's what it is. And so she says, you carry an extra responsibility to groom, grow, and train the child the right way. So if you buy yourself, those of us who don't have it, those who have, you go read again here. You are then able to see that there is importance attached to training children. That's that. So if the father makes the home unhomely, there's a problem, like the story I started with. First of all, he does not stay with them, but secondly, he invades their space, but secondly, he violates and molests them. If the father does that, the mother has such a huge responsibility. No wonder when I was informed that the lady, the mother of this children, died, I understood why she died. Do you know her? How much stress do women carry out there? Because of us as men, because of the fact that they've got to take care of our children. So they carry an extraordinary load of work. And those of us for your children. If we don't spend money for children, like the pastor was here the other day, I remember very well when about the pastor. Actually, I recorded that sermon. This business of telling children to go out, it's not good news for the church when the Sabbath school has just started. Umfundisi inkonzo wavela wathi awusathi mama esofundile wathi xa kusenza i-announcement uba abantwana bazawuphuma baye phaa wathi umfundisi imali today all the adults will go and have their lessons outside. Kwafanele baphume baye phandle wathi it's going to happen for the next period of time ude uphele unyaka so that the children will have their Sabbath school lessons inside the church. And it forced the church to actually build quickly in order to accommodate for the needs of the children. If we don't do it for the children and train them for a good reason, and the reason is the future is theirs. The future our fathers told us that is ours. As soon as we reach our age, myself and doctor, that age must tell you now, though we are here, it's going to start going down there. These children need to take over and be the ones running. But no child takes up responsibility to unless community involvement. Now, the community will it's a very wonderful